What if some of America's most beautiful palaces were hiding dark secrets?
Grand halls, golden chandeliers, endless corridors.
Places built for luxury and power. But behind their magnificent walls, strange stories have survived for generations.
Stories of ghostly figures walking empty hallways.
Unexplained footsteps echoing through locked rooms.
Mysterious disappearances.
And secrets that wealthy owners desperately tried to keep hidden.
Tonight, we'll explore some of the most mysterious palaces and mansion-like estates in America.
Places where history and mystery collide.
Some of these stories have documented evidence.
Others remain unsolved to this day.
Turn off the lights. Get comfortable.
And let's step inside America's most mysterious palaces.
You're about to hear sounds impossible, yet every detail is documented. And by the end, you'll have to decide what really happened. Subscribe for more terrifying mysteries. Like this video if you enjoy true horror. And stay until the end, because the final revelation changes everything.
Let's begin.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're stepping straight into a world of absolute opulence. I mean, just picture it. The grand halls, those massive golden chandeliers, corridors that literally seem to go on forever. These are America's palatial estates. They're these magnificent monuments built for luxury, power, and prestige. But what if I told you that right behind those breathtaking, gilded walls, there are unseen mysteries lurking? We're going to explore this fascinating intersection where immense, highly visible wealth collides head-on with an invisible, lingering fear. Really, just sit with that for a second. What if America's most beautiful palaces were hiding some incredibly dark secrets? You know, we usually look at these historical marvels and instantly imagine the glamorous parties, the elite guests sipping champagne. But the stories that have actually survived for generations, they paint a very different, kind of unsettling picture. We're talking about chilling tales of ghostly figures walking completely empty hallways, unexplained footsteps echoing through locked, isolated rooms, and secrets that these wealthy owners desperately tried to keep out of the public eye. Think about it like a giant puzzle. On one side, these estates were the ultimate status symbols, built entirely for luxury, perfectly designed to host the most powerful people of the era. But on the other side, there's a chilling reality to what happens when the parties end and the lights go out. Unexplained footsteps, shadowy figures. There is this profound, palpable tension between the visible grandeur we can actually touch and photograph and the invisible history that just completely refuses to stay buried. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, Biltmore's Phantom Lord. Our very first stop takes us deep into the beautiful mountains of North Carolina to examine one of the most magnificent homes ever constructed in America. Completed back in 1895, this is the legendary Biltmore Estate. And let me tell you, the stories surrounding its original owner, George Vanderbilt, are absolutely chilling. Now, to really wrap your head around the Biltmore, you have to grasp its sheer, overwhelming scale. 250 rooms. Honestly, calling this place a house feels like a massive understatement. It is, by all definitions, a sprawling palace. Just imagine trying to keep track of who or what is wandering through a labyrinth of 250 rooms, especially in the dead of night. And that massive layout, it sets the stage perfectly for some incredibly unsettling, well-documented experiences. For decades, both guests and staff have reported chilling encounters. I mean, people claim to hear disembodied voices just echoing in completely empty rooms. The security staff, and remember, these are professionals trained to monitor the estate, they've reported the distinct sound of late-night footsteps when they know for an absolute fact that the building is locked down and empty. And maybe the most unsettling of the whole shebang, there are consistent reports of phantom piano music, the distinct, beautiful sound of a piano playing all by itself, echoing from rooms where literally no instruments are being touched. But the most famous legend of the Biltmore focuses on a very specific visual encounter. Several visitors have reported seeing a shadowy figure standing silently right near the windows, just looking out over the vast estate grounds. Legend actually says this is the spirit of George Vanderbilt himself, still keeping a watchful eye over his masterpiece. But here's the catch. Whenever anyone tries to approach the figure, it vanishes. Instantly. Into thin air. So you have to ask yourself, is it just the overactive imagination of visitors who are totally overwhelmed by the estate's grandeur, or is it a lingering presence? Moving right along to Section 2, Hearst Castle's Midnight Guests. Let's jump all the way across the country to the California coastline, where we find another architectural marvel hiding its own unusual events. Built by publishing magnate William Randolph Hearst, Hearst Castle was the ultimate hub for movie stars, politicians, you name it. But as you'll see, it seems like not all the guests at this lavish estate have actually checked out. Let's walk through one of the absolute most compelling accounts from Hearst Castle. Picture this. It's well after midnight. An estate caretaker is doing their normal rounds, walking down a long, silent, completely empty hallway. Suddenly, up ahead, they spot someone. A man, totally solid, but dressed head to toe in early 20th century clothing. The caretaker, assuming it's just a confused guest or maybe an intruder, calls out to the man. And in the blink of an eye, the figure disappears, instantly. It's this incredibly suspenseful, highly specific encounter that remains entirely unexplained to this very day. Section 3. Echoes across the Gilded Age. Now, you might be thinking, okay, these are just isolated incidents at two famous houses, right? But when we zoom out and look at the broader landscape of America's grandest mansions, a much larger pattern starts to emerge. These echoes of the past seem to resonate across the entire Gilded Age. Unexplained phenomena are happening at elite estates nationwide. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. Take the Lyndhurst mansion up near the Hudson River. It's this elegant, fairy tale-like estate, but it harbors reports of a mysterious woman in white and footsteps echoing right behind locked doors. Down in Miami, the stunning Vizcaya Museum has staff hearing voices in totally empty properties, and visitors keep capturing unexplained figures in their photographs. And then at the Breakers in Newport, literally the absolute height of Vanderbilt luxury, tour guides report unexplained noises and moving shapes caught out of the corner of their eyes. Every single one of these magnificent locations harbors its own unsettling, recurring secrets. Now, of course, when we're dealing with the unknown, there's always a fierce debate. Skeptics argue, and honestly quite logically, that these experiences are just natural occurrences. You know, tricks of the lighting, the natural creaking of old houses settling, and the sheer power of human imagination when you're wandering through these historic halls. Yet the believers, who are so often the witnesses themselves, firmly disagree. They remain completely convinced that what they heard or what they saw was real, and it was something that simply shouldn't have been there. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the paranormal didn't just haunt a building. It literally dictated how the building was constructed. Section 4, Winchester's Architecture of Fear. Welcome to the real climax of our explainer, the infamous Winchester Mystery House, where Sarah Winchester created what can only be described as an architecture of pure fear. The scale of this is wild. For decades, construction on this mansion literally never ever stopped. Workers built rooms, then just tore them down and rebuilt them. They constructed staircases that go straight up into the ceiling, leading absolutely nowhere. There are doors that when you open them reveal nothing but a solid brick wall. And windows built into interior walls that just face right into other rooms. The prevailing theory behind this overwhelming, totally chaotic design is that Sarah Winchester was actively attempting to confuse unseen spirits. It's like she was building a massive maze to hide from something she deeply, deeply feared. And you know, the madness of that history seems to have actually left a physical mark on the estate. Visitors today still report intense physical sensations. We're talking about sudden, freezing cold spots, phantom whispers right in their ears, and entirely unexplained sounds. Whether the root cause is truly paranormal, or simply a profound psychological reaction to the deeply unsettling labyrinth-like architecture, the Winchester Mansion easily holds its title as America's most puzzling building. Which brings us to our final section, imagination or lingering history. As we step out of the shadows and start bringing our explainer to a close, we really have to pull back and look at the core tension we've been analyzing today. We've walked through places of unimaginable wealth and luxury, only to find them completely filled with unanswered questions and enduring mysteries. It all really comes down to this final, lingering thought. Are these occurrences just misunderstandings, coincidences, and the overactive imagination of visitors? Or does something else, some unknown evidence of lingering history, remain trapped within these historic walls? The answers are hidden, right there, behind locked doors and silent hallways. But I'll leave you with this. The next time you find yourself wandering through a beautifully preserved historic mansion, taking in all that gilded luxury, maybe pay close attention to the shadows. You never quite know what might be watching back. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the history around you.
So what do you think really happened? Was it a coincidence, a misunderstanding, or something far more disturbing? Leave your theory in the comments below. Every mystery has a different explanation. What's yours? Until next time, keep your eyes open, because some stories don't end when the video does.